What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Coinbros. We are your guide through the greatest industry on this little rock that's spinning through the universe, planet Earth, the cryptocurrency space. And thank you for joining. It is March 26th. We are almost done with this month. It's been a very eventful month on a world scale, but the price of the crypto has been sideways all month, man. But we're holding 70K, which is good. Now, there's a few stories I want to talk about. And they are, Mara sells 15K Bitcoin. I want to talk about the White House green lights crypto for 401Ks, huge news. And I also want to talk about Coinbase and crypto-backed mortgages now. You're going to be able to buy houses basically with crypto through Coinbase. And that's a big deal, right? Like, it's expanding. These are the type of things you want to see in the industry. We're going to talk about all that. Plus, we'll talk a little bit about, how we're at the end of the 5-day halt on the war. So we'll see what happens. A lot of the price action could be because of that. We saw Bitcoin kind of pull back. It's buy the rumor, sell the news. We had a 5-day halt, right, on the war, and now it's leading into, I think tomorrow's the last day. So we'll see what happens. People usually tend to sell the news. So yeah, let's dive right into it though. Let me see here. So the first story I want to talk about, and before Solana is actually holding up better than Bitcoin and ETH right now. It's at $92 around. Ethereum had a little pullback. Solana's holding up better. Who would have thought? I don't know, but they have a lot of big news too that we talked about in the last video. But anyway, stories that matter. All right, Mara sells 15,133 Bitcoin. Let me read this to you. Mara just sold $1.1 billion of Bitcoin to buy back debt at a discount. Mining costs, I did not know this. I thought mining was I thought it was closer to like, turn this AC down, it's a little loud. I thought it was a little closer to like 60,000. But it's saying here that mining right now, at least for Mara, is $88,000 a Bitcoin. A lot of people don't know that. It costs a lot of money to create a Bitcoin. So the way it works is, usually, a lot of people don't usually look at this statistic, but for the most part, when the price of mining becomes more expensive than what a Bitcoin costs, it just doesn't make sense to mine, right? Because you could just buy the Bitcoin. So usually, it stays within range at the bottom of like how much it costs to create a Bitcoin, right? And that's electricity use and energy use. It's very expensive to create to mine a Bitcoin, and we're kind of at that level right now, right? It's saying here, I thought it was actually cheaper. I didn't realize it's saying here 88K. I don't know if that's accurate. I'd have to double check on that. That sounds pretty high, but yeah. So it's saying that mining costs 88K per Bitcoin. Bitcoin is at 69K, so that doesn't make sense, right? It's costing more money to mine it than it is to just buy it, which is, that doesn't make sense. The math doesn't work. 20% of miners are unprofitable. That's not good, right? But that's not a bad thing for the market, because this is the capitulation, and historically, miner capitulation has been one of the most reliable bottom signals. So basically, every time this happens, because this is what happens every single bear market, when you hit the bottom, it usually happens, right? The mining becomes more expensive than the Bitcoin, and then that's usually the bottom signal. And this should be no different, right? So last time in 2022, when Bitcoin was at 16K, if you were around for that, that was the last bottom, and everybody and their mom just keeps saying, I wish I would have bought Bitcoin when I saw it at 16K, right? It went after that happened, we shot up to like 32K pretty quickly, right? So pain today, precedent for tomorrow. So this is kind of the range. We're seeing things repeat that we've seen in history over and over again, where the price of mining is more expensive than the price of the Bitcoin. It usually levels out, and then it only makes sense for the price to go up from there. So bad news for initial price action when people are selling $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, but it's what you want to see in the market for us to know that we're bottoming out and we're probably going to head up, or at least, stabilize and start heading up in the right direction. So in my mind, that's a good signal. That's actually a bullish signal, right? When you see things like that. All right. Story number 2, White House green lights crypto 401k plans, retirement money incoming. So that's okay. So just the fact that you're going to be able to use or to accept crypto for 401ks or whatever, right? But the real exciting thing about this is retirement plans. It's $7.7 trillion in assets. Okay, so the White House cleared crypto 401ks retirement plans, $7.7 trillion in assets. Even 1% is 77 billion. So if 1% of that were to come over to crypto, that's $77 billion. This is happening while Bitcoin's at 69K, which could be the bottom, right? We could be near the bottom, and miners are capitulating. The institutional pipeline doesn't care about current price, it cares about the next 10 years. And the next 10 years got a lot more crypto friendly. So think about that right now. 401ks, crypto's starting to be accepted. You're going to be able to get your 401k in Bitcoin maybe, or whatever. They'll probably have a list of different cryptos that different 401ks accept or whatever, right? So 7.7 trillion in assets, even 1% is 77 billion. That's wild to think, right? So that's just really bullish news for the crypto space, as they're saying, you know, it doesn't care about the price, right? Like, it cares about the next 10 years. Like, that's what people are thinking about. So that's the way you should look at it too. If you're jumping into the industry, there's the degen side, and then there's the long-term side where you believe in what's happening here. And that's where you're going to make, for the most part, the goal is to make as much crypto as you can, turn it into Bitcoin or whatever token, you know, maybe Ethereum or something like that. And you hold that for the next 10 years, and then you create this wealth where you can live the life you want, right? And it could happen a lot sooner than that, but most, you know, if you could project out over like 5 to 10 years where you could be if you do the right things, especially getting in right now when you're at the bottom of a bear market, this is like prime time to really get locked in and focused with all of these kind of developments. And this is another one I'm going to talk about. This is the third story. Coinbase and Fannie Mae launch crypto-backed mortgages. So Coinbase and Fannie Mae crypto-backed mortgages, you can pledge Bitcoin for your down payment on government-backed home loans. In 2022, they were debating whether crypto was a scam. Now in 2026, your down payment on a house, right? Now, that's the difference that this market has made or changed in like a 4-year span, right? I remember in 2022 when we were sitting at 16K, every single major news outlet was talking about Bitcoin being a scam, right? And now you can buy a freaking house with it. And that's within 4 years. Imagine where we're going to be in another 4 years, right? And it's going to be another bull run. The next, you know, it might take anywhere from 3 months to a year where we start really taking off into that bull run. And you have things like this happening. Imagine the next 4 years, how accepted it'll be everywhere and how ingrained in your everyday life crypto is going to be. And you got an opportunity to start taking advantage now at the absolute bottom. It's like they say, right? If you feel like you missed the boat, the best time to buy something was yesterday. The next best time is today, right? So not saying to buy, this is not financial advice. I'm not telling anyone to go buy anything right now, but just get into the know, you know, and like start looking, bro. Start looking. If you were looking to take a position in a Bitcoin, you know, you might get lucky and catch it a little lower on a pullback on like a wick down, but there is a world where you might not ever see a 50K Bitcoin again. You might never see a 60K Bitcoin. And you might be looking back like most people did when they saw it at 16K and it ran up to 120. And all they do is whine about how they saw it there for 3 months and they didn't do anything, right? So anyway, we got 401ks. You can buy houses now with Bitcoin. And this is through Coinbase. It's not through some like little like minor company. This is Coinbase, basically one of the biggest companies in the entire industry, in the world, really. And yeah, man, the world's starting to, you know, it's exactly like we've all been preaching for 10 years. Things happen slowly, right? You don't really notice, and then all of a sudden it's just ingrained in your everyday life. And you got to take advantage, man. You know, you be early to things. And I really feel like we're very, very early to where crypto's headed. It's one of those things where it's gonna happen, and it's happening. So closing lines. Let's say, so we had a bunch of crazy stuff happen today. Bitcoin's holding 70K. Solana's looking pretty good, you know, still under $100. But I get excited at these times, right? Because I like action. I like when things are happening, but I also don't. I get anxiety when we get into a bull run. I've been doing this for over 10 years. I don't like when things are ripping like crazy because I make most of my good plays early, right? And it gives you time to like build things, and like you want to get things on the way up. You don't want to be trying to rush into everything when everything's going crazy. And right now is for the next 6 to 12 months, to be honest, is the funnest times for me. It could be because you start seeing companies come in, you start seeing people, the smart people are coming in, and then you see new technologies emerging, you see AI, we have all this craziness. And if you get in early, that's what crypto's all about. It's all about being first, being early, making the right decisions, and don't be a pussy. You know, like this is not an industry for people that are scared, right? If you're scared, be conservative. play with the big dogs. Only invest in the Bitcoin, forget about it, chill out, act like you never put the money in, and come back and see it in a few years. But if you like to play around and you like the industry and you like action and you like innovation, man, there's no better industry in the world. So with that said, be nice to each other. Much love. Tomorrow's Friday. It's going to be a good weekend. It's heating up out here in Vegas. It's like 95 degrees. My boys got baseball tonight. And life's good, man. Stay positive. Much love, guys. See you guys tomorrow.